Hello, MouseHunt. Welcome to the first official Feedback Friday of 2019 on January 11. Hello in the chat. Good morning to everybody hanging out there. It looks like we have a few people hanging out with us. Stejin, KDM, Michelle, hello to you as well. Ben, Dennis, Free Laura Martini, hello. Julia, Eric, hello. Free in the chat there is asking, is the whole dev team Canadian? Almost everyone except Michelle. Our offices are here in Toronto, where it is mighty chilly. It is, I think, -11 out right now. It was a chilly walk into the office today. But Michelle, she works remotely for us from the UK. Is the whole dev team nice, asks Julia. I would like to think for the most part, if the day's going well. Stejin asks, is the whole team Dave? Certainly not. Eric, good morning to you as well. And good morning, Stejin. Nicholas, hello as well. Lisa, howdy, right back at you. Ray says hello again. Yeah, -11 Celsius or Fahrenheit? Celsius. If it was Fahrenheit, I don't think I would leave my house and just really hope that the furnace did not break down. Well, on that note, we'll kick things off here. There's a few things I want to go off go over on the first official Feedback Friday of 2019. We'll cover the Great Winter Hunt extension as well. We'll discuss that a little bit. Then we'll go over the Winter Hunt shutdown schedule and procedures to make sure everyone knows exactly how it's going to play out. Very similar to last year, but we'll review it. Get some feedback on event rewards, so you can get that, thinking about that in the back of your mind as well. And then finally as well, some feedback on how hunting with friends work, just sort of a general feedback question as well. So to start off, we realized there was some understandable frustration, I think, with the last minute nature of the decision to extend the Great Winter Hunt. There was a few factors that made extending it a little bit of a difficult choice. I mean, primarily being really high-level golems are extremely rewarding, and so we kind of had to balance the request to extend the event also with another week of golems bringing loot back into the game as well. So we checked out where players were to help give us a little bit of perspective. Just under 55% of players had captured 10 Ice Sculptor Mice, which would be sort of total above and beyond completion to get absolutely everything. 10% of players, they were close to reaching that 10 catch mark, and another 15% were more than halfway there. So ultimately we felt that 55% that was a little bit lower than we would have thought, so that helped us make the decision to extend the event. Now the team, we literally made that final call the day that the event was scheduled to close, so we understand it was definitely last minute, and I think that's much more last minute than we would normally give in terms of notice. But hopefully that didn't cause too much frustration from any hunters who are smashing their parts and buying bells and that. Hopefully that went over okay. And I don't know if my chat froze or not. Oh wait, no, there we go. I gotta scroll down. Stejin asks, does this math mean that we slacked more as usual during the event? Not sure, actually. With the benefit of hindsight, actually, we discussed a few mechanics that maybe contributed to fewer hunters than we expected reaching 10 captures. We thought not everybody would get there, but certainly some of the actively hunting, it should be certainly obtainable. Welcome to feedback as well from the chat. We noticed that maybe the need to change decorations from time to time to keep the cookie drops balanced, that may have contributed. If somebody neglected to change their decoration and they stockpiled way too much of one cookie by mistake, then that would set you back in the event, right? And that would sort of compound if you did that once or twice. Working on maps as well, that may have put people in a spot where they had too much of one cookie, or they were arming a decoration to work on a map, and that kind of set them back from the overall event completion to make sure they had enough cookies to purchase everything they were looking for. There's also sort of more related to the golems, just the fact that they require a little bit of interaction every 5 hours to keep them going. So, if somebody's busy on the holidays, or you're out running errands or something of that nature, and you're just maybe using the widget to keep yourself active, and your golems came back, but you're just collecting all these parts, or were collecting pecan for too long and you didn't arm it to start getting parts or something like that. That would again kind of compound itself a little bit in the fact that the event gets a little bit of a slow start. So that could have been another issue as well, just the slow start of the event. If you don't quite play your cards right and prioritize making sure you get some decent level golems going right off the bat, then it's definitely hard to play catch up because the event gets faster and faster and faster the more high level the golems get. Dennis in the chat says no frustration. Was one of the 15 who were almost there. Was going to miss the base otherwise. All right. Well, hopefully, glad to hear that'll help you out finish up. I hope you finish up. Free says, I think if you didn't open snow cookies first, then it would have been hard. You definitely needed the most snow cookies. They also had the greatest drop rate as well. They're the easiest to loot. But it was a good measure to make sure that you didn't collect all the cookies you needed on your second run and you couldn't unlock a second cookie yet. I think that's a fair point. Any thoughts on the forum post talking about using the news posts more? I don't know if I saw that particular one. Feel free to elaborate. Herrick loves the golems. There's definitely a lot of love for the golem. KDM says, those that were complaining about the extension are now the same bunch that were impatient and smashed the snow for bells as going to hunt during the cooldown. That's a fair point as well, though. They could have done a better job explaining exactly, if those who weren't aware, that there'll be this 1 week of shutdown period where you'll have a chance to smash all your parts and sort of assess your final resources. So that may have helped out people who weren't aware that that was going to happen, and then on the last day they were trying to maybe use up all their golem parts, not aware that they'd have 7 days to put those to use. Stejan says the unbalancing of cookies was a bit annoying. Didn't mind as much because got more than enough cookies, but was a bit annoying combined with the maps. Yeah, the maps and the cookie collecting kind of conflicted with themselves a little bit. P-Raz says, what do you think about the top level dude with 130 plus golem? Expected? Maybe not entirely, but that is sort of the disparity of people being extremely active and people being much less active. Dave, did you know that you can only send a golem to the toxic spill in the current spill level hunter? Yes, that came up. That's something, if we repeat, we'll put that on the list to try to fix up. But there's a lot of complexities with the toxic spill and making golems play nice. So for the time being for this year, it was an extra reward for being a level Archduke. You'd never have to worry what level the spill was before sending a golem there. Julia says she's quite happy with the loot. Herrick backs her up with love the loots. Debbie says, great event, love that you can use the decorations to target groups of mice for silvers. Yeah, I think that component of it worked extremely well. That was a suggestion during Feedback Friday. And so maybe some of the other larger events as well, we can put some brainstorming effort to find creative ways to help you target specific mice for some of the events that have so many mice to help you earn crowns. Sejan says, will there be an option to check how many golem saps you sent to each area at the end of the event? No, there's nothing planned for that. Darn Wrong says basically more communication through official news posts where everyone will be able to access the information. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. We could just do quick summaries, not be too stressed out about making them too formal or too much story in there, but just a quick little heads up. Maybe some jot notes, just the equivalent of a too long didn't read version of things. Free says it took me a while to open the second kind of cookie, but opened snow first, so it wasn't so bad. I agree, actually. I did toboggans first, and I ended up getting all the toboggans I was going to need because I underestimated how slow the runs are to start. And so that second run takes you a little while, so definitely hindsight, that would be the best choice, would be to unlock the snow one first, because that was the cookie you needed the most of. Sejun says, I see coffee. I'll never live down telling the story of me destroying a laptop with coffee, but rest assured, I have been working at HitGrab for over 11 years, and I think I've only had 4 laptops, and only one was due to me ruining it. I think the other ones were just upgrades because the hardware got a little too dated. So far, so good. If I can maintain my streak of only destroying a laptop once every 11 years, I'll be comfortable drinking coffee beside my laptop. KDM says, Lunar New Year won't be pushed back due to this extension, right? No plans to push that back. I don't think it'll affect it. Free agrees the mouse targeting was good. Cho says, hey, will Festive Comet turn to vacant lot a week after the 15th? Yes, let me double check my dates here. So the winter hunt ends. We'll go over the whole shutdown schedule. Actually, we'll get right into that now. That's a good way to transition. So the shutdown procedure for the Golem event, it's going to be pretty similar to how things worked last year. On January 15, the Festive Comet turns into the vacant lot, or I think we've named it something slightly different that I can't quite remember. Or no, actually, we stuck with vacant lot to just be very clear about things, if I recall. All the event mice, as of January 15, all the event mice except the Ice Sculptor are going to be removed from the area. So that basically means that all the sources of golem parts and pecan pecorino, or nearly all the sources of them, are going to be gone. So as of the 15th, it will be, for all intents and purposes, no more golem parts. The only places you'll still be able to get them is there's a chance the Ice Sculptor mouse can drop one. The Snowball Showdown as well, you can use up all your snowballs and get a few last golem parts to hopefully finish off if you just need one more limb or something like that. But as of January 15, no more golem parts, but the rest of the event is more or less the same. So you can still hunt at the event location to bring your golems back, collect the loot, and try to use everything up. You can still smash golem parts into animated snow. All the shop items are still there, so you can buy your festive summoning bells with animated snow. And so during that week, the best course of action is any parts that you have left, send out as many golems as you can. And then before January 22, I'd say well in advance, make sure, any extra parts that you just don't think you have time to spend the 25 hunts per golem to get them to come back, smash the parts, buy a bell, and just keep belling them until basically you're out of parts would be sort of the best way to cash out. So again, January 15, basically no more golem parts, no more pecan pecorino, but the rest of the event stays the same. 1 week following January 15, which ends on January 22, you'll be able to send out golems, smash parts, purchase bells, all that's the same. And then on January 22, the event is entirely removed, so there'll be no more Great Winter Hunt stuff. So before January 22, make sure you have visited the shop, bought everything you want to buy. Because at that point, everything will be gone, and limited edition will become truly limited edition. It'll be gone forever. And where in the chat? Let me get caught up. Sriraj says, I'm farming pecan pecorino snowballs and winter charms for next year. Cho said, oh, that's where we left off. Debbie says, will ice shards melt if we don't use them? Yes, if we repeat a similar event, if there's kind of golems or something very similar to golems that uses the shards, the golem parts, animated snow, even festive crackers, those will all melt away and or explode during the summer months or before the next winter hunt begins. So things you can stockpile, basically anything that's available in the premium shop. So things like winter charms, let it snow charms, pecan pecorino, glazed pecan pecorino. No guarantee that those items will be used next year, depending if it's a completely different event. It may be a completely different cheese and resources. But that sort of thing, or those sort of items will remain in your inventory. But anything that's really specific to how you progress in the golems, so ice shards, golem parts, all those sort of items, those are going to melt away and or explode in your inventory before the next event starts if we repeat the golems. And that's basically, if you think about it, it makes sense that if we did a 2019 golem event, it'd be a bit silly that on day one people have already completed the adventure and have a level 9 golem because they stockpiled stuff. It's a little anticlimactic to, without even sounding the horn, you've already sort of almost finished the event. Would be probably not the most fun experience either. Daniel says, will they ever have a coffee mouse? Well, I don't know. It'd have to be thematically appropriate for the area, I would suppose. Daniel says, who sabotaged the server? Hopefully that doesn't mean that something bad is happening in the game. Let me refresh. Oh dear, I'm out of bait. Let me have some bait. Things seem okay. Coffee Murphy's Law will happen, says KDM. Swift says there's around 1 to 2 weeks between the end of the shutdown and Lunar New Year. Yes, so let me just double check here, and tentatively the start date of the Lunar New Year event would be February 5. If I'm reading my calendar correctly, yes. So tentatively, if all things go according to plan, February 5 would be when the Lunar New Year event would start. And the Great Winter Hunt will be entirely wrapped up on January 22, as in you will not be able to purchase any rewards after January 22. And actually, January 22, about the same time that Feedback Friday starts, is when that will happen. So you should think of it more like January 21 is the last full day of the anything Winter Hunt related being around. Let the Ice Sculptor drop Winter Charms during the cooldown week. It's an interesting suggestion. That said, I don't know if Winter Charms would do too much, right? Because the mice that they attract will all be gone. So I don't think that'd have too big of an effect. What happens to golems that are out after the shutdown ends? Well, you have no way to see them or access them anymore. They're just kind of lost to the ether. So by all means, if you're holding on to a single bell or something like that, that might be good on January 21 to just ring the bell, get all your golems back, and make sure that you don't get caught with any that haven't returned yet. Daniel says, oh yeah, I forgot the snowball showdown is a thing. Maybe I should use my 1,000 plus snowballs. Well, at least it's not too tedious to use your snowballs quickly. You can click awfully quickly. If you really don't want to use all 1,000 as well, you can visit the store and use the snowballs to buy the Snowball Showdown upgrade dust, and that's basically like kind of playing 10 boards simultaneously with better rewards, so that's a good use as well for it. Feedback Friday summary should be in the news post too. Right now it's hard to find information we wanted. Yeah, that's fair enough. It's a little bit hit and miss whether there is a summary, but it's something to consider. Let the sculptor drop, or no, in the wrong spot in the chat. Will lanterns be making a comeback for Lunar New Year? Yes, nothing's quite 100% set in stone yet, but it's a pretty safe assumption. Will next year's Snowball Showdown puzzle can also be included with the bell together with the hat? Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Again, it's far too early to comment anything on a release that's 11 months away, I would think. Debbie got 20 eye essences by sending golems to the Living Garden. I sent all my golems as well. I did the Living Garden, Sand Dunes, and the Lost City World, where all my golems went. Anything else here? I think that wraps up the shutdown schedule. The event reward feedback as well. So, kind of on the same note of the Great Winter Hunt, it's extremely difficult to design challenging goals that have compelling rewards for the wide variety of hunting styles out there. So we have some players that regularly average over 100 hunts every single day, and we have other hunters that play every single day, but they only average maybe 30, 40. Some people even just 25. They check in and sound their horn once a day sort of thing. So with some hunters, literally, they sound the horn twice as much and make twice as much progress as other hunters, and it's certainly become a challenge to find a good balance between rewards and goals that sort of will be accommodating but not frustrating to either of those types of players. So a couple of feedback questions are, what type of rewards would you like to see for above and beyond completion of events? So the Great Winter Hunt, that would be getting 10 captures of the Ice Sculptor. Or in Lunar New Year, that's raising your lantern all the way up to the top of the map, if it worked the same way it did last year. And I'm trying to think what another good event example might be. But also related, what type of rewards would you like to see that are more guaranteed to earn? So think of things that are the reward for doing the adventure. For all intents and purposes, we expect anyone who's reasonably active and checks in at least once a day should be able to complete the adventure once for an event. So what sort of rewards would be good as adventure rewards, and what sort of things would be good as stretch rewards for people who are much more active and going above and beyond? Free Schmidt had a question there. Won't you get partial golem loot if they're out when the event ends? No, you will get absolutely nothing if your golems are out when the event ends, so by all means make sure they're all returned. KDM says quad candles. I don't think there'd be quad candles. Collectibles? That's a bit of a double-edged sword because the nature of a collectible, I guess it could be a limited edition collectible, but it feels weird to not be able to collect something in a collection game. So I could see that being a bit polarizing. Auras, yeah, aura time extensions. That's a good suggestion. The Winter Hunt, actually, the Winter Aura, I think, kind of utilized that, in where if you're really active sending out a whole lot of golems, using magic hats, that sort of thing, you got a lot longer of an aura time than somebody who's only checking in a few times a day and just capture the ice sculpture once or twice. So it's interesting to see what other hunters think as well of auras, and the duration of an aura might be a good stretch reward. Free Schmidt says, Trap Skin made a decent super crazy reward last year. Yeah, there's a little bit of mixed feedback. I think because it feels like something you can collect as well. It's a little stressful when you can't get it. But it's also just a pure cosmetic item as well. So it's kind of got that going for it, where you're not at a specific disadvantage because you don't have a trap skin. Cosmetic rewards are often a good fit for sort of above and beyond optional type stuff. Like if you get level 15 golems, you get some crazy stuff. Well, at least with the golems, they leveled up where they'd start bringing back more items. So they kind of took care of themselves. We're sort of, balance-wise, assuming most decently active people could get one level 10 golem. Darn Wrong says, more above and beyond rewards, more people that complain about pay to win to finish the event by getting everything. Well, that's the challenge, right? Is finding challenging goals and compelling rewards for all sorts of different types of hunters, and finding the balance where everybody has something, because it's a little anticlimactic if somebody finishes an event in 3 days. But at the same time, if you make it so that that person will finish it in 3 weeks, then somebody who would normally finish it in 3 weeks will never finish. So it's a challenge. Session says, stretch rewards being skins is nice, limited edition collectibles are neat, but getting more accessibility to crowning optimization would seem good. Yeah, I think King's Crowns are a little bit niche as well, but I think that's that could be something good to incorporate. Able to reveal the cost of candles this year, gotta prepare my credit card. It'd probably be the same as last year if I had to guess. Stretch LE trap skin or special hunter badge. Yeah, I mean, you have to explore what a hunter badge would entail. Then, to me, that's a little bit maybe like a collectible as well. Auras would be good, in my opinion, says Musical Penguin. Destin says maybe they get discount for items in general store. That's interesting. Unlocking more abilities and stuff like that. Some sort of cash out where everybody gets the same thing, but you get more of the same thing. It could be challenging to find a specific item that's compelling. The aura kind of works in that way, and it's generic enough, so there might be more evidence there. Rahul says, need a pig jade base with jade pigs coming out of the base. Well, there will be a pig jade base this year, I would believe. The piggy bank aura might need chance to drop double gold. That's a neat idea. Michelle says, would love to get a little badge with a number showing the position you finished. So 50 players completed the adventure before you, you'd get badge 51. That's kind of a neat scoreboard kind of idea. Gruden says, discount coupon for marketplace. Yeah, that's interesting. Something to say. I mean, might be difficult to integrate and pull off, but something to save the tariff or something. Something similar to floating crates, nice bonus loot, says Debbie. Yeah, and by all means too. That was in the winter hunt, so I mean, maybe just relying more on that. It's tricky too to find a balance of compelling stuff, and we wonder how compelling those small little bonuses are. Codex is a good reward to look into, says Nicholas. And somewhat too, yeah, the Codex was meant as sort of a little bit of a above and beyond reward for finishing the New Year's portion of things. And, it doesn't make that ground shaking of a difference in terms of your overall hunting experience, but it's also very nice because it lasts for 360 or over 365 days. So it feels very, perception-wise, it feels very good to have. It feels valuable. But at the end of the day, when you crunch the numbers, it's not that many more mice you capture by having the Codex. So we thought that'd be a good stretch reward for the New Year's phase specifically. Journal themes can work too. Yeah, we've had some mixed feedback there. If there's journal themes, not everybody can get. During the winter hunt, though, the newest journal theme was a bit of a stretch reward. It needed the most cookies of anything, but it's also the only thing that isn't limited edition. So if you miss it this year, you'll have to sacrifice a few Advent chocolates next year to get the journal theme. Musical Penguin says, I miss those non-top tier traps that offer local boost. Yeah, we mix those in. We're not ruling them out or retiring them by any means. Free says, I appreciate you guys care about making it fun for players with different time and money budgets for the game. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first approach we take to absolutely everything is someone who's reasonably active, doing 50 to 60 hunts a day, somewhere around there, and spending absolutely zero cash should be able to complete sort of all the base objectives, and that's always what we use as our starting point. That's what we do when we play test a lot. Also, we do sort of play test with everything. So we'll do Monte Carlos where, okay, what if everyone's using every single power-up and has unlimited supplies? Okay, what if somebody has absolutely no power-ups and very limited supplies? And we make sure we get a feel for what those both are like. Stejan says, like to see more area boosting traps. Destin says, how's the new area coming along? No real progress to report on Queso Geyser. The art team has been working on a few concepts. at the start of the week, or a few mice, rather, some assets, not concepts. But they shifted gears to some Lunar New Year tasks, so not too much to share yet. Swift says, I don't think people who go above and beyond need that much extra things anymore. Yeah, fair enough. It's always, using feedback, trying to come up with what's going to be compelling for different types of players. Ryan says, can I ask, besides all the golem parts and the animated snow will melt it away after the event ends, will the icebergs pick and chocolates? Chocolates will remain. I don't think we would take away the ice sculptor's pick because it would be not reused last year because it would be, or next year if we did a similar event, it would probably be a different villain, a mouse, or a different antagonist, so I don't think we would take away the ice sculptor picks. All right, well, so lots of feedback. Obviously, that's a unique problem facing events, because events are very different from new permanent areas or game expansions, because the permanent areas, players can all go through them at their own pace. So we can very comfortably make something rather difficult to accomplish, knowing that someone who's less active, they'll still be able to finish it up. It's just going to take them a little longer, whereas events have a timeline to them, so that makes it difficult. Some other feedback we're looking for is should we further reduce the number and significance of events to give us more time to work on permanent areas and expansions, which the rewards are much easier to put together for permanent areas and expansions than they are for events. As Darn Wrong says, shorter event time so the team won't be as occupied on events. We have, over the years, we've kind of been shifting that way. Definitely noticed an imbalance in the game of higher level hunters without high level areas to hunt in, and that's kind of pure bandwidth issue of us not being able to spend enough time to flush everything out that we would like to flush out. Musical Penguin second, shorter event times. Julia says players can always choose to work on permanent areas. KDM says yes, please. Nexus says, is it possible to implement a live timer for each event's ending? Yeah, that's a neat idea. Sometimes it's a little tricky. We usually know when the event's going to end. It's not right down to the second, though, because it comes down to us organizing a code push. It's not automated. It's kind of a manual process. Yes, yeah, less or shorter events. So on that note, the birthday event, would there be any disappointment if the birthday event was something much smaller, maybe just a little sort of global objective to obtain, new reward to pick up, that sort of thing, knowing that we'd be putting that time instead on working on game expansions? Lunar New Year is just 2 weeks, and in my opinion, that's beautiful. Yeah, Lunar New Year, the current iteration of the Lunar New Year event, I think it works very well because it's very contained. There's not a whole lot of sort of long-term objectives to achieve. It's just a nice little boost. It works throughout the game as well, which is nice. It doesn't really mean you have to be distracted from what you're currently working on. You can put it to use on whatever objective you're currently chipping away at. We didn't mind. Julia says she'd be disappointed, but maybe in the minority. For sure, though, events have that special charm to them of bringing everybody all together in one area, all doing the same thing. On a community level, it makes Facebook groups and the Discord chat and that sort of thing that much more lively because everyone's all doing the same thing you're doing. So you kind of always have that common ground to discuss and swap strategies and ask, okay, what loot are you getting? Show what loot you're getting, that sort of thing. Make the birthday a community goal event. Been a long time. We've basically ruled those out. It's just too difficult to find a balanced community reward and predict exactly how quickly people will go through things. Sejan says, I prefer less focused events where you can do whatever you want to do, get extra bonus. Yeah, like the pillowcase and Lunar New Year is a good example of that as well. Debbie loves event seasons, something different, and all that new stuff and loot to chase. One problem, though, if we don't keep adding sort of more objectives and challenges outside of events, so think about golems in particular, someone who's completed all the adventures, even maybe they've earned some King's Crowns, they've gotten the traps they want to get. There's not a lot of compelling rewards that the golems are going to come back with. It's nice to have, throw it on the pile stuff, but the golems become so much more compelling when you can send them to an area that you're still actively working on or you're chasing a long-term goal. Maybe you're trying to get Queen Quesada, you're trying to get a gold crown, and it's a newer area. It's just, I think that makes the golems that much more compelling. So it's a balancing act. The events are very fun, but I think without enough game expansions and permanent areas to sort of back up some of their rewards, it takes a little bit of wind out of their sails. It doesn't quite pump up their tires as much. Hey, hey.
Hello.
Cecilia says events are more fun, in my opinion, and give starting players LA traps to progress. Yeah, they're a good way to sort of compress things for sure and help out newer players catch up. With 10 years of content, it's almost unreasonable to go through it all from the start.
Compresio.
What's shaking?
Just hanging out.
Hanging out.
Been debugging a bit with the crew.
Sweet.
Yeah. Some fun stuff today.
Squad goals.
Squad goals, yes.
That's what the kids say.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year. How you doing? Slim Santa is behind you. I don't get it.
Sad Santa.
What's going on? What you
This
talking
guy's
about?
Sad Santa. We're going over some event reward feedback. Brainstorming what kind of rewards they like to see for sort of adventures and stretch goals. The balance between number of events versus number of permanent areas.
Cool. It's cool, man.
It's cool.
It's cool. You got the little leash.
Yeah, got my heat dish going, not pointed at me, just kind of ambient heat best it can.
Have you done a couple of these yet?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, we got a tip alarm on a big heat dish.
Try to do as short as possible.
You got it.
All right.
Yeah. Like I said, it's what's the temperature out? -11 still?
-11? Oh man, yeah, it was a
-9. Oh, it's warm. It's balmy.
It's so
Turn that heater off. It's balmy out there now. Whew, where's my t-shirt?
Well, someone says it looks like there's a golem in the bookshelf on the back. That's Sessions. It's just like cubed into this little hole.
Cubed in.
I think you're blocking right now. Cubed in. I don't remember who sent us this mouse. Do you remember?
I can't remember her name.
I don't know why we call it Sessions either.
Oh,
but it's a very fun.
I'll recognize her when I see her here.
And yeah, it looks like a gold. It's got the roundness.
Noreen.
Noreen.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Noreen.
Noreen.
Thank you, Noreen.
Noreen's watching right now.
See if she's at the Festive Comet. She's still playing.
Online?
Yep, sounded her horn at just about a half hour or 15 minutes ago.
Cool.
Got a Christmas tree mouse.
Just right in the corkboard. Thanks for the sessions. Thanks for the plush. Maybe I don't know if she knows it as Sessions.
She knows it as Sessions.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks for Sessions.
There you go. Wrote on her corkboard. Said thanks for Sessions. I should have said hello from Sessions. Maybe.
Oh yeah. I like how this goes back in though. It's like
it's a perfect fit. Yeah, it's just cozy. Yeah, we used to we renovated a little bit, but there used to be in our foyer kind of like a receptionist desk, which we don't require at all, and it would throw people off because when they came into the office, they would just kind of stand there waiting for someone to come back to that desk.
Yeah,
no, just come on in.
They were on a break or something. Yeah,
we used to put Sessions in a little chair at the front there, and it was a nice nod, like, oh, this must not be a real desk because there's a plushie sitting there. So
yeah,
it's stuffy.
Stuffy, is that another word for it?
Is that another? Yeah.
Stuffed animal.
Stuffed animal.
Versus plushie is more smaller.
More smaller. Synonyms, I'd say. Yeah. Plushie, stuffy, stuffed animal. Synonyms. Right. I got your pie chart here.
Oh,
Giorgio.
Wait, is that my pie chart?
That's your pie chart. Yeah.
Sick. I can't see it though.
Yeah, it is a little small. Yeah.
Inactive halfway plus. Oh, you renamed it. Nice.
Super halfway
total
plus.
Complete. Total completion.
Total completion. Yeah.
Total.
Yeah,
sounds like something at Cardassian with
total completion.
Opportunity.
So we're going over the extension a little bit, giving a little bit of context as well. And so this was part of our decision-making progress to give ourselves a little bit of perspective. There was 54% of people had 10 plus captures.
50% of people had
total completion. 10% had the opportunity. They were close.
That's the almost.
Yeah, 14 were kind of halfway plus, and then about 20% of people were not particularly active, and so they just kind of maybe got 1 or 2 catches.
All right. Wait, halfway plus is less than almost, right? Is that the deal?
Yes, halfway
Oh, I
plus
should
is
have
less
colored
than
this like
almost.
total completion's green, yellow would be the almost, and then red would be halfway. Like, oh no, it's red.
Yeah,
or red is the passive.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, I'm not a colorologist, all right?
Few are, really.
No one, in fact.
Ryan says, what can we do with the leftover unbalanced decorations?
Oh,
the
if they're
cookies.
like the counts are a little off or something?
Yeah, I think the cookies, after shutdown, we're going to allow them to be smashed into snowball charms. It's sort of a final cash out. But in the meantime, it might be a little bit more valuable to go to the shop and buy as many of the golem charging charms as you can.
Fair question there from Nicholas, asking if total completion means getting all trap skins and codex. I think it just means getting 10 catches.
Yeah, 10
so
catches.
just the adventure completion. Not total completion.
Yeah. The amount of time it takes you to get 10 captures, as long as you're changing your decorations often enough, that should be enough time to loot all the cookies you're going to need as well.
Yeah.
So by the 10 capture point, you should be able to check mark everything else. By the way, why do I sell frozen fromage from years before? Is there no way to thaw them? They are magically frozen solid.
Uh-oh.
They've been imbued with a cold beyond belief.
Not unlike today.
Yes, must have been crafted on today. It's still -9. So the final feedback topic we want to go over is hunting with friends. So this is a topic that occasionally comes up as well, of how friends are taking on hunts or how you're taking on a hunt with friends.
On that note, as your friend, I'm going to go.
Okay, but you're not going to take me on your
I won't hunt with you right now.
Oh, I must not be ready to hunt yet.
Yeah, maybe not.
All right. Total completion, opportunity. Thanks for dropping by. So hunting with friends. Currently, a friend must be ready to hunt. And actually, I think there's about a 3-second disparity to give you an opportunity to sound your own horn. So it must have been 15 minutes and 3 seconds ago that they sounded their horn. They must be in the same location as you, and they must have been active within the last hour to be eligible to be taken for a hunt. So a few kind of ideas that have been floating around, come up time and time, again, are would you like to see the area restriction removed, so you wouldn't have to be in the same area to hunt together? That would make it a lot easier to play alongside and help out lower ranked friends that can't access your same area as well. Would you like to be able to select a group of friends that can take you on a hunt regardless of location? It's kind of like a top 8 or something like that. And any other feedback suggestions that you have regarding how friends take you on hunts? Daniel says, good. The total completion doesn't mean gold crown the sculptor. That would be quite the feat as well. Region lock, says KDM. Yeah, that's an interesting option as well. Give a little bit more use to regions. Right now they're just sort of this logical grouping of areas, but I don't think they really have any effect on gameplay other than maybe the odd base or piece of equipment that works in a specific region. Select a group of friends would be Ace, says Penguin. Julia likes the mechanic as is. Turn off the option if joined in tourneys. Yeah, that's another good suggestion as well. Any sort of updates or changes that we made to it, a sort of toggle to be able to choose exactly how you want that to play out. If you're the type of person who, maybe you're in an area where you want to make sure you always sound your horn, if you're really paying very close attention to the labyrinth or something like that, to be able to opt out of being taken on hunts. Laura likes the idea of removing the location restriction. Eileen, I don't want to have to choose. Yeah, that's fair enough. But that second suggestion of picking a group of friends, it becomes a challenge. Well, who do you pick? It might be a little bit of a stressful decision. Teammates should be able to take you on a hunt regardless. That's an interesting suggestion as well from Destin in the chat. Would you consider extending the time window? Says Penguin. I'd assume active within the last hour. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out entirely. It's been like that for over a decade, but not a specific reason that's set in stone, I suppose. Cecilia says the no location restriction would be good. Select a group of friends. I can see people getting left out. Yeah, it feels less friendly if you have to kind of pick a list of friends. Daniel, I choose to be the odd one and put do not disturb sign. Yeah, that's an interesting suggestion. Like I said, they have the ability to opt out of being taken on hunts. Eric likes things the way they are. Free Schmidt says, I think it's better to make changing it opt out instead of opt in. If you're fine with how it is, then you don't have to do anything. Yeah, for sure. For the most part, when things kind of change like that, and we're gonna have a toggle, I think it would be things you maintain the status quo, and you click a button to opt out of it. No to selecting a group of friends. Teammates taking on hunts regardless of location is good. Yeah, that might be neat. Give a little bit more context and reason for being on a team, even when you're not in a tournament. KDM, increase the number of hunters you can tag along on the hunt. That's something we've been looking into. There is a limit. I believe it is 8. So if you have 500 friends and you're all in the same location and you're all ready to hunt, when you sound the horn, you will randomly pick 8 of them. And that's a bit of a sort of server scaling concern. The more times that you get user-to-user interaction, or the more times that I can change you and someone else can change you and someone else can change you, you get kind of what we call race conditions. And so there's locking. What happens there is that I sound my horn, I'm going to take KDM on a hunt. Then I need to kind of signal, well, I need to lock KDM, so no one else is allowed to touch his account until I'm done sending him on the hunt. He captures a mouse, increment his gold, do all that stuff, cool, then unlock it. Now next person, you're allowed to do your thing. Or what is called pessimistic locking, I suppose. And so the more and more people that you try to lock their data for, the slower and slower things happen. And something that happens as frequently as people trying to sound the horn, it would sort of, you get this exponential increase in cost, or how much deadlocks occur when you have 100 people all trying to edit the same person. That means 99 people had to get in a line to change them. That's a little bit of a technical overhaul. It is something on our minds as well to try to overcome that technical limitation. Choose between current mode or pick 10 people that can bring you hunts anywhere, says Darn Wrong. Players make their own trade-offs. Yeah, the ability to kind of customize your own experience can kind of make sure everyone's happy. Destin says maybe you can be taken on a hunt by just being in the same area. Rodentia or region, I guess. Yeah, they have region. That's an interesting suggestion to give them a little bit more purpose. Able to choose friends, but choosing specific friends. Fees will be collected. New closing. Charge you to send you on a hunt. A super friendly behavior of charging your friends. Expand friend slots above 500. Something we're still looking into. Again, it's kind of a technical limitation to make sure the game's running smoothly and we don't slow down how quickly the game loads. But it's something that kind of stays on our mind. We would like to bump it up a little bit above 500, or work on features that try to help accommodate interactions that you would do with friends. We're still looking at removing the restriction from being able to send supplies to people to make it so you don't need to be friends in order to trade. For hunters who like to do giveaways, that'll kind of be a good quality of life improvement where you won't have to add someone to your friends list to give them supplies and then remove them afterwards. Used to have more than 1,000 friends. Yeah, the limit used to be imposed by Facebook, which I think is a limit of 5,000 people you can have on your Facebook friend list. That said, very few people got anywhere near that limit. And I think it was sort of a natural check on that, was that you had to also be Facebook friends. And so, people would be a little bit cognizant, like, well, I'm not going to add too many people to my Facebook friends list. And that naturally kept people's friends list to kind of a reasonable amount. But now with the in-game friend system, that's the opposite's occurred. Now everyone's very, very open to adding as many people as they can. And so there's a bit of a technical concern that if suddenly we go from not very many people having 1,000 friends to almost the majority of people in the game having 1,000 friends, that it might slow down the game for everybody. But like I said, something on our minds. It's a technical limitation that every once in a while we put some thought into trying to crack that egg. Send supplies to anyone would make it easy. Yeah, and I think we're trying to think outside the box and thinking, okay, where are the spots that people, or why do people want 1,000 people on their friends list? And maybe there's something we can do to accommodate it so that you can still have that interaction with that person without them necessarily being on your friends list. And keeping the friends list more about the people that you try to maintain a somewhat close relationship with, or people that you recognize the name when you see it and you frequently do the same sort of cooperative activities in game together. So it's that short list of people that cool, these are the people that I really like to enjoy, they're my go-to for inviting to maps. Or they're the people that I consider I want to invite them to my team, or I like to hunt with them frequently because I know they're active. And less so about, well, I just want 5,000 complete strangers to get them to sound my horn as much as possible, but I don't want to interact with them in any way otherwise whatsoever. Trying to make a more sort of meaningful relationship with the people that you have on your friends list. Darn Wrong asks, limit how many people can take a hunter on a hunt. Say only the first 50 friends that were active can take you on hunts. That way there will be no use to go above that number of friends. Well, there already is a limit. There's only 8. So when you sound the horn, you can only bring 8 people with you on a hunt. So it's nowhere near 50. But that might have kind of the opposite effect of if you have a lot of overlapping friends. Because you're going to take 8, if you have like 25 or something like that, then some people get left out from that horn call as well. And so by having tons and tons, it sort of decreases the odds of you being the person that's left out. KDM says, doing my part to ease the server by unfriending people. Just kidding. And Daniel says, if we can send supplies to anyone, there will be no request to increase friends limit. I think there might still be requests to increase friends limits, but by all means, and other features as well. Those sort of reasons why people are having that many people on their friends list, we're trying to find other ways to accommodate that interaction without having to also mean it that you hunt together. And then I'll take a final question before we move on to trivia here. PRaz says, any news on when the exchange will come to the website? To be honest, it would make price checking a tad difficult. I think it should be much easier, actually, because everything will all be in one spot. You'll be able to see how many people are willing to buy and sell for a specific cost, and it's not sort of whoever's at the top of the list has more visibility. It'll be more sort of community-wide pricing. That's getting wrapped up, so we gotta put it through a round of testing. That said, I think I've mentioned in the past that there's not too much testing we need to do for the browser marketplace overhaul, because it's mostly front-end work. It's all the underlying code. It's still calling all the same sort of functionality behind the scenes that the mobile exchange uses. So we're hoping to maybe get that out sometime in February, but again, subject to testing. We want to make sure everything's polished, smooth, and working well. As a note of how that will go out, it's going to kind of reset everything. So it's going to be using all the existing buy and sell orders that exist from the mobile exchange. Anything that you have up in the marketplace currently, there'll be a little interface where you can just cancel those posts and get back your gold or items, and then going forward, you'll have to relist them all on sort of the new overhauled version. Ryan asks, can we increase gift of the day limits? I think it's in an okay spot, right? Or it has to be a balanced amount of supplies that you get from your friends, without meaning that, hey, if you don't have friends, you're at a very significant disadvantage as to people that are leveraging friends. So, it's a balance act. I think it's in a pretty good spot at the moment, though. We'll move on to Larry's trivia. I'll wipe away the Great Winter Hunt there, the ice sculptor mouse staring us down. And this week's trivia question is, the answer will be the name of a trap, and it is, what weapon in the game has the highest luck? So in the entire game, what trap weapon, bases excluded, has to be a weapon, how much, or which one of them has the potential anyway to have the absolute highest luck? School of Sharks is incorrect. KDM is first in with the right answer of the Golem Guardian with the physical module. So a fully charged Golem Guardian trap with the physical module equipped and fully charged has a whopping plus 32 luck for just the weapon. And when you pair it with the base, you get another 16 luck from the base, being 10 from the base and plus 6 from the set effect that it carries with it. Combine that with a snowball charm and you are absolutely laughing in terms of physical prowess. Stejan's 5 minutes behind. I don't think you're quite 5 minutes because I didn't ask the question quite 5 minutes ago. So reward link is coming in the chat. That's the answer. Yep, School of Sharks was dethroned. High Tension Spring Trap, that was a close second place to Darn Wrong. Actually, a very suitable name there. Darn Wrong, you are darn wrong. And reward link coming in the chat. If you're watching this recorded on YouTube Gaming, you can check out the chat. This is 50-50. No, I'm pretty sure it's going to be over there, but just in case it might be over there. But in the chat as well, you'll be able to click it. I'll put it up here as well. If I can find how to put up text. There we go. Link. Woo, 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 woo. Why is it flashing? Stop flashing. There we go. Woo. I'll make it a little bigger too. Woo. So reward link, one last festive reward for the first Feedback Friday of 2019. Thanks for 2 temporal shadow plates, says Darn Wrong. Well, I think you're wrong about that as well. Uh-oh, it begins. One day I will accidentally hand out temporal shadow plates, and I'll have Larry take the blame for that. You know, so he has so many that he started to hand them out. And on that note, we'll wrap things up, hunters. Thank you for joining me on the first official Feedback Friday of 2020.